We are firmly of the view that a political process for resolution of the present crisis should be led by the Syrians themselves. We believe that the main role of the international community, including this Council, is to facilitate engagement of the Syrian people with all sections of Syrian society for an inclusive political process, taking into account the legitimate aspirations of all Syrians while ensuring respect for the country's sovereignty, unity and territorial integrity.
The draft resolution as put to a vote did not adequately reflect the real state of affairs in Syria and has sent an unbalanced signal to the Syrian parties. The co-sponsors of the resolution have not taken into account the wordings for the draft that we propose to the effect that the Syrian opposition must distance itself from extremist groups which are carrying out acts of violence and called upon states and all those who have the relevant opportunities to use their influence to put an end to such acts of violence by such groups. Nor have our proposals been taken into account so that along with the withdrawal from the cities of Syrian armed forces, there be an end put to the attacks on the part of armed groups on state institutions and neighborhoods. Nor has there been support for showing more flexibility for the intermediary efforts of the League of Arab States, which would increase the chances for success for exclusively Syrian political process. The Russian delegation voted against this draft resolution as submitted. We greatly regret this result of our joint work in the Security Council. We believe that intensive efforts of the international community with a view to putting an immediate end to the violence and have a successful beginning and conclusion of an exclusively Syrian political process and a withdrawal from the country of this country from a crisis will be continued. Russia, for its part, will continue to work precisely in that direction. Thank you.
At the same time, the sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of Syria should be fully respected. The actions of the Security Council on the Syrian issue should comply with the purposes and principles of the UN Charter and help ease the tensions, help promote political dialogue and diffuse disputes, and help maintain peace and stability in the Middle East region, rather than complicate the issue. Under these principles, China has taken an active part in the consultations on the draft resolution and supported the efforts made by the Arab League to facilitate a political settlement of the Syrian issue and maintain stability in the region. Like many Council members, China maintains that under the current circumstances, to put undue emphasis on pressuring the Syrian government, prejudge the result of the dialogue or impose any solution will not help resolve the Syrian issue, but instead may further complicate the situation. China supports the amendments proposed by the Russian Federation. The request for continued consultation on the draft resolution by some Council members is reasonable. It is regrettable that these reasonable concerns are not taken into account. To put through a vote when parties are still seriously divided over the issue will not help maintain the unity and authority of the Security Council or help properly resolve the issue. In this context, China voted against the draft resolution. Syria is an important country in the Middle East. Peace and stability in Syria serves the common interests of the Syrian people and the international community. China will continue to work with the international community and play a positive and constructive role in the proper settlement of the Syrian issue. Thank you, Mr. President.
The problem in Syria has assumed dimensions which are not only regrettable, but are condemnable. We have to understand that while we have made civilization, we have also condoned words like collateral damage and so many others, which is not my intention to name here today. But I believe we accept too much too easily. Reminds me of 1,000, 2,000 years ago, Pontius Pilate washing his hands and saying, I have nothing to do with this. And 2,000 years later, we still see humanity suffers that particular point. Pakistan had some serious concerns, mainly against killings and massacre of innocents, but also on a point of principle of the Charter. We were not happy about any infringement of sovereignty or integrity of Syria.